The morning sunlight streamed through the large glass windows of Stellar Horizon Interspecies Daycare, casting soft shadows across the play area. Judd Park, a small 3-year-old human boy with bright, curious eyes and messy black hair, sat quietly among a collection of advanced robotic building blocks. Around him, several alien children from different planetary systems played, their unique shapes and colors creating a vibrant scene of interstellar childhood. The daycare was a marvel of modern galactic integration, located on the massive orbital station Harmony 7, which orbited near Earth's lunar colonies. Designed to promote understanding between young species, the facility housed children from at least 7 different planetary civilizations. Robotic caretakers and live alien supervisors moved carefully between play zones, monitoring interactions and ensuring safety. Jay's small hands moved methodically, connecting metallic blocks that shifted and changed color with each precise connection. Unlike other children, he seemed unusually focused, his movements deliberate and calculated. The robotic blocks responded to his touch in ways that surprised even the advanced AI monitoring systems. Nearby, a Trill species caretaker named Cora watched with multiple eyes, her translucent skin shifting between soft blue and green hues. She noticed something unusual about the human child, a concentration that seemed beyond his years. Most 3-year-olds would be chaotic and random, but Jay moved with an almost scientific precision. The robotic blocks Jay played with were not ordinary toys. They were advanced learning tools designed to test spatial reasoning, computational skills, and adaptive problem-solving across different species. Each block contained miniature quantum processors that could change shape, color, and complexity based on the user's interaction. As Jay continued building, the blocks began responding in an unexpected manner. They started generating complex geometric patterns that even the station's advanced computer systems found intriguing. The blocks seemed to be learning and adapting to Jay's unique interaction style, something that had never been documented before. Suddenly, without any external force or apparent reason, Jay's right leg bent at an unusual angle. A hairline fracture appeared, not from any visible impact or aggressive movement, but as if his own body had slightly reorganized its structural integrity. The boy didn't cry or show pain. Instead, he looked curious, continuing to play with his blocks, as if nothing unusual had happened. Cora, the alien caretaker, immediately triggered the medical scanning protocols. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing detailed biomechanical images of Jay's leg. The fracture was clean, precise, almost purposeful. The medical eye began running complex diagnostic sequences, unable to comprehend how such an injury could occur without external trauma. The station's communication systems buzzed with quiet excitement. Something extraordinary was happening, and no one quite understood what it meant. Jay continued playing, his blocks now creating increasingly complex structures that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Other children nearby had stopped their activities, watching Jay with a mixture of confusion and fascination. The alien children sensed something different was happening, though they couldn't articulate exactly what that might be. Security recordings would later show that no one touched Jay. No equipment fell. No aggressive interactions occurred. The leg fracture appeared to be a spontaneous biological event that defied current medical understanding. What the various species observing Jay didn't realize was that they were witnessing the first documented case of human genetic adaptation through controlled microstress, a biological mechanism that would soon challenge everything known about evolutionary biology. Jay Park, a simple 3-year-old human child in a daycare orbiting near Earth's moon, had just become the most scientifically interesting person in the known galaxy, and he didn't even know it yet. The robotic blocks continued to shift and change, creating patterns that seemed to whisper of potential futures and unknown capabilities. Something remarkable was unfolding, and it had started with a simple fracture in a child's leg during a quiet morning at an interstellar daycare. Senior caretaker Kiro studied the medical scans with intense concentration, his blue-tinted fingers moving across holographic displays. The station's investigation team had gathered in the small conference room, surrounded by advanced technology that hummed with quiet energy. Jay's leg injury was unlike anything they had ever encountered. The security recording showed nothing unusual. Multiple camera angles revealed a peaceful play scene. Robotic blocks, children moving quietly, and Jay sitting exactly where he had been moments before the fracture occurred. No impact, no sudden movement, no external force could explain the injury. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a human medical specialist brought in for consultation, examined the initial reports with growing excitement. She recognized something that the alien investigators missed: subtle genetic markers that suggested something extraordinary might be happening. "The fracture is too perfect," she remarked to Kiro. "It's almost like the body intentionally created a controlled stress point." Her words hung in the air, causing several alien researchers to exchange confused glances. The station's primary computer system, an advanced quantum AI named ARIA, began running complex simulations. Thousands of potential scenarios were tested and rejected within milliseconds. Each simulation showed the same impossible result: a fracture without cause, a precise biological adjustment that defied current scientific understanding. Kiro reviewed the child's background. Jay Park was born to two mid-level researchers working on the lunar colonies. His parents had unremarkable genetic profiles, nothing that would suggest such an unusual biological capability. Yet here was evidence of something completely new. Surveillance recordings showed Jay continuing to play after the fracture, showing no signs of pain or distress. The robotic blocks around him continued to shift and change, creating patterns that seemed to pulse with an inner intelligence. It was as if the blocks were communicating with something beyond normal understanding. The investigation team worked in shifts, analyzing every microscopic detail: blood samples, genetic scans, neurological mapping. Everything was examined with increasing intensity. Each test revealed more questions than answers. "This isn't an injury," Dr. Rodriguez finally concluded after hours of analysis. "This is an adaptation." The alien researchers struggled to understand. In their extensive galactic database, no species had demonstrated the ability to deliberately induce controlled biological stress for potential improvement. Humans were known to be adaptive, but this was something entirely different. Araya, the station's computer, began generating complex probability models. Each model suggested that Jay's body had somehow recognized a potential weakness and initiated a precise biological reorganization. The fracture wasn't a problem. It was a solution. Kiro watched the recordings again and again. The moment of fracture was so subtle, so precise, that it could have been missed by less advanced scanning systems. Jay's body had performed a microscopic structural adjustment with mathematical precision. The station's research teams began to gather: genetic specialists, quantum biologists, evolutionary theorists. All were called to examine the mysterious incident. Jay had become the most studied 3-year-old in human history. Security protocols were quietly elevated. No one wanted to alarm Jay or his parents, but the potential implications of this discovery were enormous. If humans could deliberately induce controlled biological improvements, it would revolutionize understanding of evolutionary processes. Dr. Rodriguez prepared her initial report. She knew this would challenge everything current science understood about genetic adaptation. Jay wasn't just a child. He was potentially a window into a new understanding of human biological potential. As the investigation continued, one question remained constant: what exactly had happened in that quiet moment at the daycare? And more importantly, what did it mean for the future of human evolution? The robotic blocks continued to pulse softly, as if holding a secret that was waiting to be discovered. The medical research wing of Harmony 7 Station buzzed with controlled excitement. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a team of alien and human researchers, her presentation displaying Jay's complex genetic scans. The room was filled with holographic displays showing intricate biological details that challenged everything they knew about human physiology. "What we're seeing is not an injury," she explained, her voice steady and clear. "It's a deliberate biological optimization process." The alien researchers leaned forward, their various sensory organs focusing intently on her words. Jay's genetic profile revealed something unprecedented. Hidden within his DNA were markers that suggested an advanced adaptive mechanism. His body had somehow detected a potential weakness in his leg's bone structure and initiated a precise self-improvement protocol. The medical team discovered that the fracture was not random but calculated. Microscopic cellular changes showed that Jay's body was actually strengthening the bone by creating controlled microdamage. It was as if his genetic structure could predict and prevent future potential injuries. Blood tests revealed extraordinary enzyme levels that were completely unique. These enzymes seemed to act like intelligent repair mechanisms, quickly identifying and addressing potential biological vulnerabilities. No known species in the galactic database had ever demonstrated such an advanced internal repair system. Dr. Rodriguez pulled up a comparative hologram showing Jay's bone structure before and after the incident. The difference was subtle but significant. The previously fractured area was now demonstrably stronger, with increased density and improved structural integrity. "This is not healing," she emphasized to the stunned researchers. "This is active biological improvement." The station's primary medical eye, named MEDIX, began running complex simulations. Each model confirmed Dr. Rodriguez's initial findings. Jay's body had performed a precise biological upgrade that was beyond current medical understanding. Alien researchers from the Trill and Zorn civilizations exchanged worried glances. Their most advanced medical technologies couldn't replicate what this human child's body had done naturally. Some saw it as a potential threat, while others recognized it as a remarkable evolutionary adaptation. Blood samples were carefully preserved. The research team knew they were looking at something that could revolutionize medical science across multiple planetary systems. Jay's genetic profile became the most studied biological specimen in recent galactic history. Initial tests suggested that this adaptive mechanism might be a dormant human capability, possibly triggered by specific environmental or genetic conditions. It raised profound questions about human potential that had never been considered before. The medical team discovered that Jay's body could somehow predict potential structural weaknesses and proactively address them. It was like having a living, breathing medical system that was infinitely more advanced than any artificial technology. Genetic specialists began comparing Jay's profile with historical human medical records. They found rare, isolated incidents that suggested this ability might have existed in human populations before, but never so clearly documented. Dr. Rodriguez prepared a preliminary report that would shake the foundations of medical understanding. This wasn't just a medical discovery. It was a glimpse into a potential future of human evolution. The research team worked around the clock, running endless tests and simulations. Jay remained blissfully unaware that he had become the most important medical subject in the known galaxy. To him, it was just another day of playing with robotic blocks and exploring the world around him. As the medical revelations continued to unfold, one thing became clear. Humans were far more complex and adaptable than any other known species. Jay's simple leg fracture had opened a window into a remarkable potential that had been hidden within human DNA for generations. The station's research wing continued its work, knowing that this discovery could change everything they understood about biological adaptation, healing, and the potential of the human body. Somewhere in the station, Jay continued to play, his extraordinary body quietly working its miraculous modifications, unaware of the scientific revolution he had just sparked. The genetic research lab was a quiet space of intense concentration. Dr. Rodriguez and her team had spent weeks analyzing Jay's unique genetic structure, their findings growing more extraordinary with each passing day. The station's most advanced genetic sequencing machines worked continuously, revealing layers of complexity that challenged everything known about human biology. Initial genetic mapping showed something remarkable. Deep within Jay's DNA were complex genetic markers that seemed to function like an intelligent adaptive system. These markers weren't just passive genetic information. They appeared to be an active, responsive network of biological intelligence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez discovered that Jay's genetic structure contained what she called adaptive trigger points, specific genetic sequences that could activate under precise conditions. These trigger points seemed capable of initiating controlled biological improvements, almost like a self-upgrading biological software. The research team brought in specialists from various planetary systems, genetic experts from the Zorn civilization, and quantum biologists from the Trill research networks studied Jay's genetic profile with growing excitement. What they saw was unlike anything in their extensive galactic databases. Jay's DNA contained what looked like dormant genetic capabilities. These were not mutations, but carefully preserved genetic instructions that could activate under specific stress conditions. It was as if human DNA contained hidden potential waiting to be unlocked. Computer simulations showed that these genetic markers could potentially trigger rapid healing, structural improvements, and even enhanced cognitive capabilities. The adaptive mechanism was so precise that it could identify and address potential biological vulnerabilities before they became serious problems. The station's primary genetic AI, named GENESIS, ran thousands of complex simulations. Each simulation confirmed the same extraordinary conclusion. Jay's genetic structure represented a significant leap in human evolutionary potential. He wasn't just a child. He was a potential blueprint for human advancement. Comparative studies with historical human genetic records revealed something fascinating. These adaptive genetic markers weren't entirely new. Rare instances throughout human history suggested that this capability might have always existed, just waiting to be understood. Dr. Rodriguez's team discovered that the genetic adaptation wasn't random. It seemed to be a carefully controlled process, with multiple genetic safeguards preventing uncontrolled mutations. The human body, it appeared, had developed an incredibly sophisticated self-improvement mechanism. The research raised profound questions about human potential. If these genetic markers could be understood and potentially activated, it could revolutionize medicine, human adaptation, and understanding of biological evolution across multiple planetary systems. Jay's parents were brought in for additional genetic testing. Their DNA showed similar markers, though not as actively expressed as their sons. This suggested that the adaptive capability might be a dormant genetic potential present in many humans, just waiting for the right conditions to activate. The galactic research community watched with intense interest. Genetic journals across multiple planetary systems prepared to publish the groundbreaking findings. Jay had become more than a child. He was a living example of unexplored human potential. Ethical discussions began about the implications of these genetic discoveries. Some researchers saw it as a remarkable breakthrough in understanding human biology. Others raised concerns about the potential for genetic manipulation. Dr. Rodriguez remained focused on the scientific significance. This wasn't about creating superhuman capabilities, but understanding the remarkable adaptive potential that seemed to be encoded in human DNA. The genetic research continued, each day revealing more about the complex biological system that existed within Jay's body. The robotic blocks that had first witnessed his unique ability seemed to symbolize the complex, interconnected nature of his genetic structure. As the research progressed, one thing became clear. Humans were far more complex and adaptable than anyone had ever imagined. Jay's genetic profile suggested that the human body contained hidden potential that could revolutionize understanding of biological adaptation. In the quiet of the research lab, surrounded by advanced technology and brilliant minds, a small boy's DNA was rewriting the understanding of human potential, one genetic marker at a time. The discovery of Jay's unique genetic structure sent shockwaves through scientific communities across multiple planetary systems. What had begun as a simple incident in a daycare had transformed into the most significant biological breakthrough of the century. Galactic research centers began re-examining human genetic records. Universities from Earth's lunar colonies to the distant Orion research stations started collaborative studies. Jay had become more than a child. He was a living key to understanding human potential. Medical technologies faced complete restructuring. The adaptive genetic mechanism Jay demonstrated challenged everything known about healing and biological improvement. Alien medical systems that had considered themselves advanced now looked primitive compared to the human body's potential. The Interstellar Medical Council convened an emergency session. Researchers from 7 different planetary civilizations gathered to discuss the implications of Jay's genetic discovery. Some saw it as a potential threat, while others recognized it as a remarkable evolutionary adaptation. Dr. Elena Rodriguez presented her final report, detailing how human DNA contained hidden adaptive capabilities. The genetic markers found in Jay's body suggested that humans could potentially trigger controlled biological improvements under specific stress conditions. Government research facilities began intense studies. Military organizations showed particular interest in the potential for enhanced human resilience. The ability to rapidly heal and improve biological structures could revolutionize human survival capabilities. Ethical debates emerged quickly. The potential for genetic manipulation raised complex questions about human evolution and biological enhancement. Some argued for careful study, while others warned about the dangers of interfering with natural genetic processes. Jay remained unaware of his scientific significance. To him, life continued as normal, playing with robotic blocks, enjoying time with other children, and living a typical childhood. His parents struggled with the sudden attention and scientific scrutiny. The economic implications were enormous. Pharmaceutical companies and medical research institutions began competing to understand the genetic mechanism. Patents and research grants flooded in from multiple planetary systems. Scientific journals published extensive reports about the discovery. The term park genetic adaptation became a standard reference in biological research. Jay's name became synonymous with human potential and evolutionary mystery. Genetic specialists discovered that the adaptive mechanism wasn't unique to Jay, but a dormant potential existing in human DNA. Further research suggested that specific environmental or stress conditions could potentially activate these genetic markers in other humans. The Galactic Research Council declared Jay's genetic discovery a landmark moment in understanding biological evolution. It challenged previous assumptions about human capabilities and opened new paths of scientific exploration. Education systems began adapting their understanding of human biology. Textbooks were rewritten, scientific theories revised. The simple leg fracture in a daycare had become a turning point in human scientific understanding. Alien civilizations reassessed their previous views of humanity. Humans were no longer seen as a primitive species, but as a potentially remarkable evolutionary phenomenon. The adaptive genetic mechanism suggested capabilities far beyond previous understanding. Research continued across multiple platforms. Genetic mapping, medical simulations, and biological studies all focused on understanding the mechanism that Jay's body had demonstrated. Each discovery revealed more about human potential. The implications extended beyond medical science. Philosophers discussed the potential for human evolution, while researchers explored the deeper mysteries of genetic adaptation. Jay had become a symbol of unexplored human potential. As years passed, the initial discovery continued to generate new research and understanding. What had seemed like a simple incident in a daycare had opened a window into the remarkable capabilities of human biology. Jay grew older, continuing his life with little understanding of his scientific significance. The genetic markers that made him unique remained a source of ongoing research and wonder. The universe looked at humans differently now. No longer were they just another species among many. They were a potential key to understanding biological adaptation, a living example of unexplored evolutionary potential. In the quiet of research laboratories and scientific institutions, Jay's story continued to inspire, challenge, and reshape understanding of what it means to be human.